Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sip and Chat with Azem and Jade. Gwen, I beat CPL Mathis Stewart, who keeps doing this every morning. Johnson.
That's not true. I've been really good.
Jade, you do it up to yesterday.
That happened? No, because...
You do it every day, at least once. What would a Sip and Chat be without Jade? Like phone just going off randomly.
Listen.
Good morning, everybody. Shout out to everybody who's logged on. Shout out to everybody who... You want to try it one more time?
No, go ahead. Do you think?
You good? You sure?
Yeah.
It's like a running blooper reel by. But yeah, guys, I appreciate everybody who's logged on. Big shout out to you, all the people who are gonna look at this afterwards and wondering what was happening in studio. Like, thank you very much for being here as well. And yeah, Jade, how are you doing?
I am great. I feel refreshed.
You feel refreshed?
Yes.
What happened yesterday?
A lot of sleeping.
Oh, I went to the Nelson baths or something.
No. The only time we're going to Nevis is when we talk to Mark in a few. But no, I actually went to the clinic with Jade, which took 5 hours.
Why what happened?
Just takes 5 hours. And so by the time I went home, I was extremely drained. So I powered through some work. And then I took a very well needed nap. Missed the gym.
I don't understand how you keep missing the gym because you're sleeping.
No, that was only once.
That was twice now, I think.
No, I missed the gym for another reason.
Yesterday?
Yesterday I was sleeping.
The day before was you slept and then you had to work, so then you
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. But that ain't happen again. That ain't happen. The clinic one catch me off guard. I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, for that long wait?
I did not think that it would take that long.
Just to get a shot, right?
That my child turned into Super Hulk when it was time for him to get his shot. So, you know, that happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how they are sometimes.
Yes, those little people are very strong.
But what happened to the nurses, like, skills at, like, distraction and so?
No, you can't distract my child from a needle. Yeah, he wasn't having it. But so you go. Yeah. But yeah, we're here now. You look refreshed. I feel refreshed.
Really? Wow.
But because it's Friday.
Oh yeah, it's Friday. But I mean, really, am I refreshed? I think there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in life.
As usual.
And yeah, there's people who I had this thought yesterday. I went to a funeral yesterday afternoon. And I was saying, but you know, some people, they just don't know what's going on with them. You have no idea what's going on with people. Like, people just running around doing the thing. You see them walking around, bam, bam, bam. You have no idea the stresses. You have no, like, yeah.
Life is rough. But you know who life isn't rough for right now?
Who that?
The current premier of Nevis.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Man, you got some rough times too, man.
Two-peat champion.
Two-peat?
How much this?
Buy a load of peat.
Must be nice, huh?
Indeed. But yeah, we're gonna jump into a conversation with the Honorable Mark Brantley, Premier of Nevis.
Yes.
Just now, I'm sure he could hear us, so I'm gonna invite him to join us. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning. I hope you can hear me.
All right, so we have one, I could see you speaking, but we're having some issues hearing. So I'm gonna have the technicians just take a look at that. The Kingsters,
okay.
Just ensure that we are hearing on the premiere for us, please.
Is that any better? You hearing me now?
All right, so we're gonna try this again. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Hi, good morning. Are you hearing me now?
All right, so I'm hearing you soft. That's what's happening. So we're gonna just turn it up a bit and then and get going. Just turn it up here first.
Yes.
And then you guys could turn on the background music. All right, so let's try this one more time.
Don't say one in case I won.
No, it's gonna be one. I am faithful. Jade, you have to hold faith, you know, Jade.
That is true. That is true.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All
Good morning to
right,
you.
so I could hear you
Good morning,
on the
Jade.
inside. We're not hearing him on the outside. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna actually take a short break and be right back. So give us 1 second, guys, while we work this out, and we'll be right back with the interview with the Honorable Mark Brantley right here on SipNchat. To turn up. Yeah, let's try it again. All right, guys, we're back, and so we're gonna just gonna jump back into where we were prior to the break, and so one more try again. As we jump into this conversation with the Honorable Mark Brantley, Premier of Nevis. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning, good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we could hear you now.
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Awesome. Well, sorry for the small technical difficulties. Apologize for the glitch. All right. So, good morning, sir. How have you been lately? Let's start there. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. You know, we've come to an election season and the Christmas season and the court season. But I think that we're now well and truly on our way, trying to get the island of Nevis going, and I'm quite happy with what I'm seeing thus far.
Well, I mean, you spoke about the different seasons. I know in the US, you know, they generally say there's 4 seasons, but it seems as though Nevis, there's so many different seasons, and they move quickly and sharply, and it seems as though you've been coasting through them all. So, what I would say though, you mentioned the election season, and we spoke a bit about that previously, and you know, one of the things that seems to be a staple in elections, not only here in the Federation, but somewhat around the region, is the post-vote casting court case. For those who may not be quite familiar with what you're referring to when you said court season, tell us a bit about what that whole situation was about.
Well, as you may know, we had local elections in Nevis on the 12th of December last year. The electors voted and they gave the CCM, the party that I'm privileged to lead, the majority of seats, 3 seats, but also we won the popular vote. In 2 of the seats, my constituency, Nevis 2, and the constituency of the Honorable Spencer Brand, Nevis 1, the losing candidates in those constituencies, in the persons of Dr. Patricia Bartlett and a young lady called Jade Keynes, they both filed election petitions after the election seeking to overturn the election results. As you rightly point out, it appears to be now the norm that across the region, whenever elections are lost, those who lose go to court. So after every election cycle, we tend to have this court cycle that follows. In this case, we were confident that there was no case to answer. We were confident that the petitioners were misguided in their efforts. And so we applied for the petitions to be struck out on the basis that they were bad in law, they were nullity. And of course, disclosed no appropriate grounds on which one could bring a petition. But that matter was heard by the court on the 15th of February, and His Lordship, Mr. Justice Patrick Thompson Jr., reserved his decision and would have delivered his decision on the 27th of February. And his decision was fully in accordance with the law, as we expected. He struck out the petitions and brought them to an end. I have the judgment, a copy of it in my hand. I anticipated that we might talk about it. And I just read one paragraph of paragraph 12. His Lordship says, this court finds that the Keynes petition, that is a petition filed by Jade Keynes, was filed on January 10th and not within the 21-day period prescribed for doing so. The Keynes petition is thus a nullity and is struck out and dismissed. In relation to the Bartlett petition, His Lordship said at paragraph, I think it was 36, he says this, which I think is instructive. The Bartlett position is difficult to understand. Counsel for Ms. Bartlett only conceded that the law was against him after the luncheon adjournment in the hearing of this matter. No recent authority was drawn to his attention, which necessitated a sudden change of course. There was no evidence before the court as to why Mr. Patrice Nesbitt Damascene conversion came so late in the day. The obvious inference that can be drawn is that Dr. Bartlett persisted in a position that her lawyers recognized was unsustainable as a matter of law. And as a consequence of the judge's findings, the judge ordered these petitioners to pay our costs to be assessed. And so we look forward very much to the collection of some money from these petitioners.
Okay, well, I mean, well, that seems quite clear and concise.
Definitely does.
And do you believe that this may serve as a deterrent in future elections for there to be a smoother transition and results be more accepted, you know, after they've been announced in the future?
I think that the court dealt with this issue and said that it is not intended that this somehow be any kind of deterrent. What the court is saying is that we have 21 days under the law to bring these matters to the court after an election.
Right.
And the court is essentially saying that if you're going to go down that road, then make sure that you have reasonable and sensible grounds to go down that road. So for example, in 2011, after that election, I filed an election petition. But there we had compelling and overwhelming evidence of fraud in the electoral system, where hundreds of CCM supporters were removed from the voters list in the dead of night, just before the election, to try and secure victory for the NRP. We were able to prove that. And so we had justification for going to the court, and the court ruled in our favor and declared the election of Hensley Daniel at the time to be null and void. But absent having compelling reasons, the court is saying, don't waste the court's time, don't waste people's time. And I think both J.D. Keynes and Dr. Bartlett knew that they had no case. They knew that there were no irregularities in this election. In fact, the election was a lot closer than all the pundits assumed it would be. And so they had their best showing that they've had in years. And notwithstanding that, they still lost and went to the court. But what I find was particularly unfortunate is that in the public square, they whipped up all this sentiment about fraud and we were guilty of stealing an election. And when ultimately these petitions were filed, they made no such allegations. The only thing these petitions said about me was that my name is Mark Brantley, I was a candidate, and I was declared the winner. The only thing it said about Spencer Brand, that his name was Spencer Brand, he was a candidate, he was declared the winner. No allegations whatsoever were made against us, none. So again, there's a stark difference between the rhetoric that is put out there about how fraudulent and how, to use local parlance, how thief we are. And then when an election petition is filed, there's no allegation of that nature made. So it really tells you that this is an effort to mislead the public. And I think the court has done what the court ought to have done, which is to put everybody out of their misery and bring this to an end. And I'm really happy that the judge has decided to award costs in these circumstances, because I believe that these particular petitioners were willful in the extreme. And the judge made that case that they should have known what the position was. And so I am, as I said, quite happy that costs were awarded, and I anticipate collecting those costs. I'm hopeful that those costs will be substantial.
All right. Well, I mean, it does seem as though there's sometimes a situation where persons can feel it necessary to weaponize the court system, and sometimes use that in collaboration with like you said, public rhetoric and things to try and infer certain things. Hopefully, well, you're suggesting that was the case, and that seems to be the judge's assessment of the matter as well. And hopefully that is something that we don't see, become a norm. In cases where the court needs to be brought in to settle situations, well, of course, the court is there to do that job. But in other terms,
well, what I think in this scenario is even more unfortunate is that in light of all the blunders made by the lawyers and petitioners in this matter, it was a colossal blunder in terms of not counting the days properly. I mean, who among us can't count? We don't know how it is to count to 21. So, I mean, just blunder after blunder. And then the NRP has now resorted to attacking the judge. And making all kinds of allegations against the judge. In fact, they started that even before the judge had ruled. Now they're concocting some new narrative saying that somehow we were afraid of having the substantive matter heard. That's why we applied to strike it out. But the law is very clear that petitions are a particular species of legal proceedings. And if they are not brought in compliance with the law, then they are a nullity. In the case law here, it uses the language of stillborn. It says that the petition is stillborn. It simply cannot proceed. As a matter of law, it cannot proceed. And I am puzzled because the petitioners had lawyers of long standing. Petitioner Keynes was represented by a lawyer who's been at the bar for some 30 years. And Petitioner Bartlett was represented by lawyers who have been at the bar for well over 25 years. So the fact that they did not have the ability to count days, the fact that they didn't understand what a petition entailed and what petition law requires, really, and to think that I had to go in court, put on my best suit to go and sit down to listen to foolishness. It was really unfortunate. I have the people's work to do. So this was a callous and wanton waste of court time and resources. And I'm hopeful that the cost of water reflects the sort of just recklessness of these petitioners.
Well, I mean,
so my view is, and the judge gave some good advice. The judge said simply that, listen, for people who intend to go down this road, make sure your T's are crossed, your I's are dotted, and make sure you have counsel that's competent and that is able to advise you properly. In this case, it seemed apparent that these petitioners insisted, notwithstanding what their lawyers might be telling them.
All right. Well, we'll wait and see what's the next step in that and what that looks like.
If there is even a next step.
Well, I mean, the award of cost is what's there too.
I want to commit publicly that once I collect, I'm going to take you both out to dinner. How's that?
Look at us living large.
See?
Well, I mean, even coming out of the election, we have seen even some more issues. I do not claim to be a constitutional expert, but it does seem that there are some issues coming out of the election that really makes us question a bit, at least myself.
Myself as well.
Yes.
If I'm gathering, if I am seeing where you're going with this.
Yeah. Some. Hey, what does the Constitution say about this? How is this supposed to be handled? There seems to be some confusion. The issue of the appointment of the opposition leader and, of course, senator in the Nevis National Assembly. What seems to be the situation with that? Has a leader been appointed as yet?
Are you still premier without opposition? And
can I be appointed?
I don't think so, friend. Maybe we're gonna answer that one for you. I'm gonna do it for you.
Okay, so first of all, I think that you started out by saying something about the Constitution. I don't think this is a constitutional issue at all. The Constitution and the framers of the Constitution anticipate that parties would function in a particular way. And no constitution and no document in the world can anticipate every possible scenario. Now, who would have thought that a political party would have contested an election, won 2 seats, and after they win the 2 seats, the 2 successful candidates start to fight publicly? That really is the issue here. So this is not a constitutional crisis. This is an NRP crisis. They have not been able to come together to coalesce around what it is they're going to do. The leader, obviously, who's new to politics, she has adopted a position that it's her way or the highway, based on what we're hearing. And the other elected member, who is a longer serving member than the leader, she appears to have adopted a position that if she cannot be heard in terms of being consulted on decisions, such as the appointment of a senator, then she will not lend her support to the leader to be leader of the opposition. Now, just so your viewers and listeners are aware, that to be leader of the opposition, the Constitution requires that individual must command the support of at least one other member who does not support the government. Put differently, there's no way that Dr. Janice Hodge can be leader of the opposition without the support of Cleone Stapleton Simmons.
Or vice versa.
There's no way that Cleon Stapleton Simmons could be leader of the opposition without the support of Janice Hodge. Now, how this is relevant to the appointment of a senator is that it is the leader of the opposition who must advise the Governor General as to who the senator is going to be on the opposition benches. So it's a two-step process. There must first be a leader of the opposition, and then the leader must advise the Governor General who the senator is going to be. And all that the people of Nevis have heard since the election are charges and counter-charges, attack and counter-attack, allegation and counter-allegation. I think that what we can be certain of is that the NRP is in shambles. There's no leadership there. And one wonders what would have happened to Nevis had they been elected on December 12th. Had that happened, we as an island would now have been plunged into complete chaos as these individuals continue to fight among each other for position, for titles, for power, essentially, to determine who gets what and who is going to sit where. So that's what we have. We have an even more curious problem. When I became Premier of Nevis, as part of that good governance agenda, there had never in the history of Nevis been an office for the leader of the opposition. When I became Premier in 2017, notwithstanding that there was no formal leader of the opposition because there was only one person in opposition, and therefore that person could not have the support of at least one other as required by the Constitution. We nevertheless decided to fund an office for the opposition because sometimes dignitaries come, people come, they want to meet with the opposition, and we say it is only right that they come to the Premier's office to meet with the Premier, that the opposition should also have an office. And so we funded that. Mr. Parry, who was then this lone member of the opposition, he occupied that office. And then after that, Cleon Stapleton Simmons, who was a lone member, occupied that office. We now have 2 members of the opposition. However, Cleon Stapleton has been suspended from the NRP, and she has now declared herself to be an independent. And then Janice Hodge is the leader of the NRP. The question then arises, who's going to occupy that office?
Well,
perhaps it sounds trite, but these are some of the difficulties that have arisen because these people have refused to sit down as mature, sensible leaders and come to a decision as to how they're going to proceed. And in all the wrangling and the toing and froing, in my humble opinion, the people who have been forgotten are the people of Nevis who voted for them, who sent them to the parliament to represent them. So that is now the current state of play. So it's not a constitutional crisis at all. It's a crisis within the NRP.
So is there a time limit on when a leader has to be chosen?
No, not at all. It doesn't affect the functioning of the parliament. And so we are going to proceed throughout this term without any leader of the opposition, as has been the case since 2017. And in this case, we have 2 people sitting on the opposition benches, but they're clearly not together. So one is sitting to the north, one is sitting to the south.
Well, as you highlighted, you know, MP Cleon, she's declared herself an independent, and so you know, as the functioning of the parliament continues, I guess they'll function as such. I don't.
In fairness, Azem, she declared herself an independent after she was thrown out of the party, because the leader made a statement saying that she had been suspended. Well, and it is at that point that Cleon spoke.
Well, suspension is one thing, because suspension could mean that you could be brought back in, given some whatever the negotiations or whatever decisions to be taken.
I agree, but until such time, you stand suspended. So what is she supposed to represent herself as? Part of the suspension, they say that she could not speak on behalf of the NRP. So clearly in that interim period, she could only be independent.
Yeah. I think one of the things, and this is the last point I'd make in relation to the Constitution itself. To my knowledge, it does not mention at any time party or refer to party, right? And so the importance of the party, of course, is clear and in our electoral system. But once we get to the place where we are now elected and representing, you represent the people, you represent the the persons who voted for you, and those who didn't vote for you, who are in your constituency, for instance. So I mean, a lot of this just seems. It does seem a bit messy, and I don't see you as the type of guy who would rejoice in the misfortune of others. But I mean, you must be sitting back, and of course, as your focus is on doing the will of the people of Nevis, you must be sitting back and chewing your popcorn and wondering, well, I wonder what's going on over there.
Well, I'm actually, I prefer to sip tea and wonder. But
oh, right, nice.
Naturally.
What I will say to you is that this is really unfortunate, and I think unnecessary. All parties, in fact, any construct that has human beings will have conflict, will have problems from time to time.
I mean, you're no stranger to that, as we know.
Of course not.
Right.
So that is where leadership becomes necessary. Because leadership sometimes has to be about compromise. It has to be about saying what is the best approach to take in difficult circumstances. So you and Jade are doing this show. If at any point there is some difficulty, that ought not to play itself out on a live program. There should be some mechanism where you can sit, resolve that issue, and so that the public isn't dragged into that. And so the difficulty we have here really is that there is absolutely no leadership on the NRP side. They are resorted to social media and elsewhere to attack Cleone, Stapleton, Simmons. And I have marveled that the leader of NRP has not once called on these protagonists to stop, to say this is not right that you are attacking an elected member who's the deputy leader of the party. Allow us to caucus and go behind closed doors and resolve these differences. Yesterday, for example, a long audio tape emerged. I don't know if you've heard it already.
No, send it to me.
Of what sounded like a fish market. Supposedly an executive meeting of Cleone Stapleton's own constituency group. And the things that were being said, they are absolutely unbelievable. So the approach is really now, it's to destroy. It's to attack and destroy and to denigrate. Remember, of course, that we are just 2 months out of an election. We have 5 years to go. So at what point does good sense take over? And people say, listen, let's put aside the egos and the pettiness and really focus on the people. Because ultimately politics is about the people. And that, I think, is what has been lost here.
So if you were in this situation, how would you have dealt with it?
I think leadership, as I said, is often about compromise. If it is all about what the leader wants, then it's not democracy anymore, it becomes dictatorship. And my leadership style has always been one of inclusion. And sometimes when you practice the leadership of inclusion, you must be prepared to give and take. And so in this scenario, I would have put myself in a position where I say, okay, if this is a position, then let us negotiate a conclusion that we can live with to maintain harmony, to maintain certainly the public perception that we are together, and certainly to put the interests of the people who voted for us first and foremost. When we get caught up with our own personal egos, then the people are forgotten. And that is a dilemma we now face. So imagine, for example, there's a whole position of opposition senator available, which nobody can take up, because these two ladies have decided that they're going to fight to the bitter end. So whose interest is that serving?
Well, I mean, it does seem like a quite unfortunate, is the word that you use, and I have to agree, situation, what is happening there. And the good thing, though, at least, is that you have not been, let's say, in any way stifled in terms of doing your work as the premier. In terms of, one, what were some of the main promises of the CCM party in the previous election, and also what are some of the pressing matters to be dealt with? The pressing matters to be dealt with at the, as we move forward into this new term. I was in Nevis actually last weekend. I see roads are being paved.
Oh, better than over here. Well,
I see things happening, things are going on. But yeah, what are some of the promises that you're trying to fulfill, as well as some of the things that have been done within the last, say, 3 months?
So we are continuing some infrastructural projects. You would have noticed that the Island Main Road has been reconstructed. The area of the water taxi up here, that side of the northern side of the island. The Butler's Road is going to be completed. The Bath Road is going to be completed. Those are projects that started. We are intent on completing the hospital expansion, which we have decided is our main priority this year. We anticipate that we will embark upon the airport expansion project this year. We're working very hard on that with our stakeholders. We have also now going to the RFP, request for proposal phase, to have a design and costing on the southern ring road, which will connect Long Point to Gingerland along the southern coast. So to put it in perspective for Kittians who may not know that area, it is akin to the Southeast Peninsula. There was a time when the Southeast Peninsula was not accessible to the rest of St. Kitts, otherwise than perhaps by boat, or unless you hiked over the hills. The Kennedy-Simmons Highway opened up the Southeast Peninsula, and we see the development that has resulted since then. The South Coast Road in Nevis is intended to have a similar impact here. And then, of course, the major thing that we're working on is the realization of our geothermal energy ambitions. The Caribbean Development Bank gave us a wonderful Christmas gift on the 9th of December last year. They approved some $17 million for this project so that we could get the drilling phase on the way. We've experienced a slight delay, but it's a slight delay for good cause, I'm told, because the bidding process for the drilling has apparently attracted so much interest that we have extended the date initially until March 9th, and now I'm told that we've extended to April 9th, because I gather over 30 companies are interested, and they have had some queries that the technical team decided it was better to extend the time, answer the queries, so that we could have everybody being given a fair opportunity to bid. So we anticipate that this project is moving forward aggressively, and that I think will be a game changer for the island. So there are a number of things. There are a number of also small projects. At the water taxi pier, we're doing the reception area. We've just acquired just under 10 acres of land on the other side at Wallis to create parking and relieve the congestion there. Yeah. So we really are looking forward to boosting the infrastructural development here and creating jobs. I should say on the job front, Azem and Jade, that we got some very good news just about 2 weeks ago, that a call center facility that we had here, that in its heyday employed over 300 people and lasted for about 10 years. It had been vacant now for the past 3 years or so, that we finally have secured a deal with a call center operator It was advised that it would start with 50 workers initially, starting in April, but hope to move to 300, 325 very shortly. So we are all about jobs. I think the Social Security job numbers for the end of 2022 are encouraging. Tell us that jobs in Nevis grew by 6.4%. And more importantly, wages in Nevis grew by some 11.9%. So there's more work in Nevis and people are making more money. And so those are two good indicators for us as we try again to move forward. Put that in context for you and your viewers. In the height of the pandemic, we had dropped to only 4,600 jobs registered with Social Security or Nevis. And by last year, we had recovered almost 1,400 of those jobs. And so it means that we're moving in the right direction. We're hoping now with this call center, with the construction activity we're seeing on the island, with the geothermal drilling kicking off, that we're going to generate even more jobs and more activity.
All right. So I really see a focus on infrastructure and of course the geothermal, which is a huge project with huge potential from what I understand, and it has been going on for quite some time. I know there's a lot of people who are hoping to see it really come to fruition. I know you're definitely one of the top of the list there. And you know, hopefully we see, you know, these things really paying off for the people of Nevis. As I said, that's definitely the focus.
And St. Kitts, Azem.
Well, definitely, especially with the geothermal.
Yes.
Yes, the intention is that both islands are going to benefit from cleaner, cheaper energy. And we're told by the science that we have enough energy in Nevis to supply everybody in this federation. Wow. And just imagine that currently we're paying over 40 cents US per kilowatt hour. And geothermal is promising to come in at about 9 cents per kilowatt hour. So that huge differential will allow Jade to stay in AC all day, if that's what she wants to do. It will allow us to develop various industries around, you know, cheap energy, clean energy. It allows us to get into things like ammonia and as a byproduct, and so fertilizer production, the export of hydrogen. The opportunities are endless in terms of agriculture, drying fruits and foods, agro-processing. All of these become so much more viable with a clean, cheap. Imagine, as I've said, I believe on this very program before, that the next time you come to Nevis, you'll now have an electric car to drive, you'll have an electric scooter to ride around, because we could now transform the entire transportation sector to clean, green energy.
Well, I just want to let you know that I feel like you lied to me, because I've been to Nevis recently and there was no electric car to pick me up.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
But let me ask,
time to come.
But let me ask this question, because this is something that I've been I guess clamoring for some time, and it's just a shift in perspective from not only St. Kitts, not only Nevis, but a lot of the Caribbean countries, which is using our size to our advantage. A lot of times we see our small size as a disadvantage, but I believe that in essence, when you talk about economies of scale, there's advantages in small size as well, that I think sometimes we look past. So for instance, the implementation of things like you're saying, electric vehicles and stuff like that, being let's say early adopters has its advantages, and being small makes it a bit easier to try and make those shifts. Is it something where you, and I'm speaking specifically to the electric car thing, is there, for instance, any manufacturers, any companies that are involved in this type of industry, which we anticipate to be a very huge industry in the future, from all indications, that are interested in using, whether it's St. Kitts Nevis, whether it is Nevis, as a, let's say, a case study, and thus be able to subsidize some of the initial cost in the transition to electric vehicles? Are those conversations being had with specific companies already, or is something that you guys are looking into?
Those conversations are not being had. And I don't anticipate there will be yet. For the simple reason that it's one thing for us to say we're going to transform in terms of asking our people to invest in electric vehicles, electric scooters, in terms of having public buses, school buses now being electric, as we see in Barbados and places like that. It's an entirely different thing to talk about attracting manufacturers who are doing vehicles here, because that then raises a host of other inputs that we may not be able to provide. So at this stage, that conversation isn't happening because we would have manpower constraints, we would have technology constraints, we would have supply chain issue constraints, and we would have cost of labor constraints.
Well,
of course, one of the reasons why we have not been able to attract significant manufacturing is our cost of labor and our availability of labor here in small territories such as ours.
Well,
I will say, however, that just yesterday I had this same discussion about our size often being seen as an impediment, but can also be an asset. And in that context, I think that our agility, our ability to respond quickly, you look at how we handle COVID, for example. I think we were assisted because of our size. We look now at something like geothermal, and how once we flick that switch, the entire island of Nevis, the entire island of St. Kitts can be electrified. It's a much more manageable and therefore much more achievable objective than if one were dealing with a vast country.
Right. I mean, just to clarify though, the suggestion I was making was not necessarily in terms of manufacturing, but in terms of, let's say, implementation of certain technologies as a case study. But I understand what you're saying, and definitely I'm happy to hear that viewpoint is something that you've taken on board, you know, recognizing that the size is definitely a plus. Now, for any administration, you of course have a lot of pressing issues that the administration wants to achieve, and you spoke about some of them already, but also there's sometimes things that have to be dealt with from external forces. I know there is a situation that may be pending. I think it's the ocean reef situation. I think Jade actually have a question has to do with the ocean reef situation.
Let me just get that for you. So yes, it says, where are we in regards to the NIA being able to be sued or held accountable as per the ocean reef case? Would the NIA have to pay the 78 million?
That's a lot, man.
Yes, it is a lot.
So the short answer is no, in relation to any 78 million. The decision in the ocean reef matter, I think, was a curious decision. Because one, it was not necessary for any adjudication of what was before the court. Two, the court made a ruling that was contrary to all of the submissions by all of the lawyers that was made. So the court invited the lawyers to make submissions on this issue. And all of the lawyers were agreed that this is the correct position. And the court dismissed what all of the lawyers had to say and said, no, we have a different view. So it's a little unusual, let me put it that way. But where are we? The Honorable Attorney General has already circulated draft legislation to go before the Parliament to fix this problem. In addition, we had given instructions for this matter to be reviewed by the Privy Council, which is our highest court in London. Either way, we would fix this problem. So if it is that legislatively we can fix it that way, then we get rid of this problem immediately. The difficulty with this decision is that it really ignores what has been the common acceptance in our country for all these years. It also ignores the authority given to the Nevis Island Administration within the context of our constitutional framework. So imagine with me, if you will, that the court is saying that the NIA cannot sue or be sued. However, under the Constitution, the NIA has a whole public service that works for the NIA, is paid by the NIA, and therefore those public servants have rights vis-a-vis the NIA. The NIA has the authority to enter into contracts. The road that you saw, Azem, that was being done, is being done by a private contractor. They would have entered into an agreement with the NIA to do that road. The NIA constitutionally is responsible for making payments. So, for example, the NIA constitutionally has the right to borrow.
Right.
So could you now imagine that the National Bank or the Bank of Nevis, that the NIA owes hundreds of millions of dollars to, this decision now tells them, oh, wait a minute, you can't sue the NIA for your money. I mean, it is really beyond the pale in terms of the impact and implications of this decision. So the idea that every action must be brought, it's as if saying, okay, well, Jade has the authority to enter into an agreement with you, Azem, but you can't sue Jade, and Jade can't sue you.
Right. So
if you want to sue Jade, you must then ask the Attorney General, who knows nothing about your contract with Jade, to intervene. So as a practical matter, the decision is really a curious decision.
And so what you're saying is that, as it stands now, there are two paths that are being pursued to clear up this particular situation. One being to have the case heard by the Privy Council, as well as legislatively have legislation tabled to address this particular issue.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, you've now been the leader of the opposition for St. Kitts for about 6 or 7 months. And we know how that journey progressed. We saw where that happened, where you went from being on the other side to now being the leader of the opposition. But how has that relationship with your fellow opposition mates been over the last couple of months?
Well, I don't have any relationship with Dr. Harris, who's the representative of number 7. We will, but we don't have a relationship outside that. The leader for PAM, the Honorable Sean Richards, we do have a relationship in the sense that we do discuss matters from time to time. And of course, I have an excellent relationship with my colleagues on the CCM, who obviously constitute a majority in the opposition at the moment. So that's the current state of play. It hasn't impeded us in any way. I think we have had a very active parliamentary season thus far under this new government. We're back in Parliament, I'm advised, next Tuesday. So there is quite an opportunity.
Well, it started off great, and it turned sour after a while with the relationship between you and the former Prime Minister. But what about the current Prime Minister? How have you guys been able to navigate this new space, seeing that he's new and you're a little more seasoned? How has that been going?
Well, that has been going fairly okay at this point. I have engaged with Prime Minister Drew from time to time on matters, of course, impacting Nevis. I have shared my views on some matters that I think are of relevance to the Federation as a whole. I've shared views with him, for example, on the Citizenship by Investment Program. I've continued to insist that Nevis must get its fair share of resources and its fair share of opportunities, not only for the people of Nevis, but in fact the entire country must be able to access that. We are in ongoing dialogue with various agencies, not only as between the Prime Minister and myself, but also between other ministers. And based on the reports that I've had from my ministers, the relationship appears to be working. I believe that what we have always said from the Nevis Island administration is that we need a relationship that's based on respect, mutual respect, and we need a relationship that is committed to working for all the people of the country, not for some, for all. And those who live over here in Nevis are as important as those who live over on St. Kitts. And those who live over on St. Kitts are as important as those who live over on Nevis. We have, for example, the need to collaborate. And the age-old antagonisms, I think, need now to be put to one side and allow us to function as a single country. I raised recently publicly, for example, my concerns about the situation in Haiti. That's a situation which, if it continues the way it is continuing, has the potential to have serious destabilizing implications of small countries such as St. Kitts and Nevis, microstates such as St. Kitts and Nevis. We already saw a boat with some 15 individuals that showed up here on Nevis. And those individuals now were to be repatriated. The court has granted an injunction stopping them being repatriated. And that decision, I'm told, the matter is going to be considered on March the 6th. Now, if the court were to rule that Haitians who arrive here, however they arrive, because these arrived here illegally, that they were to have the right to remain, then you could understand that that has implications now throughout CARICOM. And therefore, one could understand that if the boats start coming, and coming frequently enough, that in the wink of an eye, we can have a real problem here with our resources being overwhelmed. Nevis, for example, is about 13,000 people. The population of Haiti, the last I checked, was just about 11.5 million. So even if 10% of that population decided to move based on what is common for humankind across the globe, that where there's conflict, where there's problem, people flee. Could you imagine what it would look like with over 1 million Caribbean brothers and sisters on the move within the region? Because certainly the United States may not be willing to take them. And if the US is not willing to take them, then it is only natural in my view for them to turn their attention and to pin their hopes on their brothers and sisters within CARICOM. But how will that look if 10,000 people were to descend on St. Kitts and Nevis? How will we house them? How will we provide jobs? What is the implication for our education system, our healthcare system?
Well, we recognize
sanitation.
Yeah, I mean, we recognize that something needs to be done, and I am of the opinion that not only because of the close proximity to Haiti, but just also because of them being a part of who we identify as Caribbean people, as Black people, as you know, we have a responsibility to act. Now, there has been a lot of discussions on what role CARICOM, for instance, plays in, or should play, in this particular issue, one that we've discussed here as well. What have those discussions looked like to your knowledge recently? Recognizing that there have been a lot of discussion on the role to play and the way forward in trying to address the situation in Haiti.
Well, I understand that this featured at the recent CARICOM heads meeting in the Bahamas. Obviously, I'm no longer in government, so I wouldn't have been invited to that meeting. But this, I'm told, featured, and I think that that's a good sign. For far too long, I feel that Haiti has been just an agenda item, when I think Haiti needs to be the whole agenda. Because if Haiti implodes, and based on what we're hearing, Haiti is tottering, it's on the edge, it's on the brink, as we say, then that has far-reaching implications for us. I've gone so far to say that that poses an existential threat to many of us in these microstates. We can be overwhelmed, and that means that it poses a security threat, and it can lead to tremendous instability in the rest of the region. And so it behooves us, I think, to have a focused and concentrated debate and discussion and an attempt to fashion a solution at the CARICOM level. But I also feel it's necessary for us to have that discussion at the national level, right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. What is our response going to be as a country? Are we going to open our doors and say that whoever can come should come because these are our brothers and sisters? Are we going to say that X number can come and then we have to cut off because that's only what we can afford to have in light of our own limited resources? How are we going to deal with it? And more fundamentally, how do we address the issue within Haiti itself?
Right, right. I think that final point you made is the one that I seem to wrestle with. It does seem as though a lot of the conversation around the Haiti issue has been the issue of immigration, and not necessarily recognizing that if you realize that there is a possibility for mass exodus from Haiti, then perhaps one of the best ways to try and deal with that is to address the situation within Haiti itself. And and so what role, if any, does the or can the the countries around do to address that? I think sometimes that is lost in the conversation. It seems a lot of times to be a response to the immigration issue.
So I agree with you, but let us remember that every issue has immediate, mid-term, and perhaps long-term factors. The immediate danger is migration. That is the immediate danger because people naturally will try to flee from a bad situation. When we look at what's happening inside Haiti, it is clear to me that that is not something that can be fixed overnight. That is something that will require very deep and systemic changes to what applies your institutions of government, your NGOs, your police, your security apparatus. All of these, from accounts that we have seen, have collapsed within Haiti. And so one needs to then restore confidence in the judiciary, confidence in government, confidence in your security forces, and all of these before one can really say that the immigration issue is no longer an issue. So what I think poses the most immediate threat to the rest of us is the immigration issue. But I take your view that we need longer term solutions, and that's why I think that Haiti doesn't and shouldn't be just another agenda item for CARICOM. Haiti requires focused attention. One of the things that I've seen over the years that I was foreign minister is that the region always seems to want other people to intervene to solve the Haitian problem.
Right.
We have never sought to sit with Haiti as a Caribbean brother and say, listen, can we fashion a Caribbean solution to this problem? Can we come up with something that is homegrown, that is regional in nature, to address the situation in Haiti? Instead, a lot of the dialogue is about what is America going to do?
Most recently, Canada.
Yes.
Canada is
and the
going to
warships.
do. Exactly. All right? So I recognize that those countries have the military might that they can send in, for example, their armies to restore calm. And maybe that is part of the solution in terms of an immediate response. But in terms of a long-term response, I think it is time that we have a conversation, a real deep conversation, nationally and regionally, about what is to become of our sister Haiti.
Yeah. We've had this conversation, I think, even up to last week, and I share a similar view where it seems as though we reach out to the metropoles as, you know, the messiahs to try and, hey, come and save us, something wrong down here. And a lot of times even if the intentions are good, I believe when you start ignoring the suggestions, ignoring the expertise of the people on the ground, sometimes you falter. You're not as intimate with the situation, and so things could fall by the cracks. And again, even sustainability, and we've seen this in several situations, particularly in the Middle East, where, you know, some of these foreign entities come in, but peace and stability isn't really even sustainable, right? Especially if you ignore the local population.
Well, Azem, I think there's another factor to it. That is, a lot of the very actors now, who it appears we're looking to be our saviors, are themselves in part responsible,
right,
for what we're seeing in countries like Haiti.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Because they themselves have, over the course of Haiti's history, invaded, manipulated,
destabilized.
And so it is one thing now for us to sit back and pontificate and say, oh, you know, Haiti has all these failures, without also holding into account those who would have contributed to such failures. I mean, for example, many of us don't know, but when Haiti took its independence and became the first black independent country in the hemisphere, Haiti was forced to pay reparations to France.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
Millions upon millions.
Yeah, I think we spoke about that one as well.
And I believe that those reparations were not finally repaid until sometime quite recently.
I think it was in the 90s.
We're talking about
Might have been in the
200
90s.
years
Yeah.
of payments that Haiti had to make to France. So what then does the French government say? And do they have any moral authority to be part of a solution for Haiti, where they now sit in high places and pontificate when they themselves were in part responsible for the pillage that we've seen in countries such as Haiti? So I think part of this is also us, and that's why I say the best solution has to be one that's homegrown.
Yes, I totally agree.
Well,
Totally agree.
speaking of home, let's bring it back to St. Kitts and Nevis. You recently left the government, and so now you sit as the leader of the opposition. And so you have been somebody who would observe the current government from a very close view or standpoint. In your opinion, how do you think they have been doing as the current government? Do you think that there are things that they should or could be working on or improving or doing better? What do you think about our current Prime Minister and how he's been able to transition from the previous government to now?
So I say what I say against the backdrop that, of course, Prime Minister Joe is brand new. He wasn't even a member of Parliament prior to becoming Prime Minister. We bear in mind that he had lost his first two bids and was successful on the third try. So I have been quite willing to give this new government the benefit of the doubt. What I mean by that is to say that I've been quite willing to give them time to grow into the role. There are lots of new people, new permanent secretaries, people who have had no, in my view, real experience in government, how government functions. And so I have not been as critical, because I recognize that this government is 6 months old, and as a consequence, I feel that they have to be given some room. There's a learning curve, and I know that because I went through that whole process myself. Having said that, I think that the government needs to spend more time on the economy. It needs to have more focused attention on jobs, on economic growth. I have not seen, I did not see it under Team Unity, of which I was a part, and I have not seen in the 6 months that the new administration has been there, any real efforts at diversifying the economy of St. Kitts and Nevis. We are still heavily dependent, in my view, too heavily dependent on the Citizenship by Investment program, and I am not seeing any concerted effort. On Nevis, perhaps because we do not have the comfort, the lifeline of an endless stream of revenue from CBI, we have been forced to do certain things. So we tried to create this movie industry, for example. We pivoted in a very hard way to agriculture and greater food security. In fact, I would invite you both to come over and see our 35-acre fruit orchard at Indian Castle, a project we're very proud of. We have been focused on job creation and seeing how we can get more people to work and better jobs. We have sought to enhance our financial services sector, to attract more international banks, to attract more business. And we saw appreciable growth in that sector last year. I say that to say this, that at the end of the day, I really want to see more emphasis on growing our economy, creating jobs, creating sustainable jobs, creating good paying jobs. And what I have seen now is a constant effort, if you will, to see who can give away more of the public purse. So what are the arguments now in the public domain? The arguments are about PAP, who getting PAP and who not getting PAP, and how many people getting PAP. You don't hear any argument about job creation. You hear arguments about who getting income support. And I'm fearful that if we continue down this road, we'll create a particular society which is always looking to government for that type of assistance, that type of relief. Government, in my view, should provide support for those who need it. But we have to be careful that we don't create a culture, learned behavior, where we now start to say to our people, listen, you don't have to go out and work and go and hustle because the government is going to be there to give you a check every month. Nobody is having that kind of conversation. You know why? It's unpopular. I'm pretty sure right now somebody's going to take this clip and say, oh, Mark Brantley said you shouldn't get this and you shouldn't get that, because we have started a debate in our country where we're telling our people, listen, don't worry, this is going to be free. That is going to be free. You're going to get this. And the danger of that is that we're not hearing a corresponding argument of asking our people to be responsible, asking our people to go out and work hard, as our parents taught us, to invest in themselves, in their education, stay in school, learn, go, study, come back, and contribute. Instead, you're hearing, even from people who in my view are well placed, what is the government going to do for me? What freeness am I going to get? We have now people who decide they don't want to pay for electricity. Why do they have to pay for water? Why do they have to pay up JNF? And I think that we need to be careful that this new government doesn't fall into that. We, for example, Team Unity had to confront with COVID. And there were some responses that were necessary because of COVID. PAP and all of those things were created because naturally people were out of work. There was difficulty in the country. Those circumstances, I think, are not necessarily the same today. And so we should be weaning people off of these programs and focusing instead and saying, hey, a call center is opening up Buckley's. They're looking for 400 people. We're doing a manufacturing plant over in Ponds Extension. They need 300 people. So instead of the debate focus on how many people are on PAP and how many people take off and how many people put on, we should be focused instead on saying PAP was at 5,000, it's now down to 1,000 because those 4,000 people now have jobs, better jobs that they can go to. That's the debate that I want to hear. And I'm hopeful that this new government will get to that point where there's a shift away from saying how much more social program. You realize, for example, last year, we're just coming out of COVID. We had last year a raise in salaries on Syncits for public servants, 10% retroactive. On Nevis, it was 5% retroactive last year, 2022. Then in October, there was what? A double salary. Then in November, I think it was, there was this honorarium of $2,000 paid. You realize that some public servants in Syncit walked away last year with a 10% retroactive salary increase, a double salary, and an honorarium.
And a CBI dividend.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I forgot that, and a CBI dividend.
Must be nice.
But at the same time, you have our health services that need investment. You have our infrastructure that needs investment. Our electricity and our water that need investment. So you ask yourself the question, what would have been a better use of resources? Giving people a double increase, an honorarium, a dividend, or saying, let us use that, say, let me use a round figure, that $40 million, and invest it so the people of Keon can now get water every day, on demand. Now, these aren't comfortable conversations because our people have grown accustomed to saying, you know, I get, what am I going to get?
Yeah, and this isn't just that. This culture is a culture that we've had for
I agree.
Since the dawn of time.
What I am saying is that the new government has the opportunity, because they're new government, to start to shift the focus and start to say, listen, there's no need for some of this because we now have created 2,000 additional jobs. I believe that job creation, economic growth have to be a central plan. I'm not seeing that yet, but I remain hopeful.
I mean, what in last point on this particular topic, I mean, and we've spoken about it, is one that, like Jade said, I believe we have fostered, and I think politicians have actually benefited in some way from cultivating a culture of dependence. The problem with that is that leads to a culture of entitlement. That's one. The other thing, though, what you're saying, I think is so true. Recognizing that there'll always be those among us who can use a hand based on their situation is important, and being able to have that hand reach out and help is necessary. However, the goal should always be to lessen the amount of people that need that hand, creating an environment where people can do for themselves and not have to depend so much on the state for even basic needs. I think if you recognize that there are so many people in a small nation like ours that are in a position that they need that type of help, it does speak to the fact that there needs to be a shift.
Yeah, there's clearly a bigger problem.
Yeah. So let me ask you one.
Well,
go ahead.
As I've always said, in our country, the government should not be given a handout, but a hand up.
Right. Indeed. So, just before we leave, though, I'm gonna ask this question based on Jade's ask just now.
Okay.
If you were to give the present administration first 6 months a letter grade, what would you, as a an experienced parliamentarian leader, what would you give them so far for the first few months?
It's difficult because, of course, it's just a few months. But if you put me on the spot and you say I wanted a grade, I think that they certainly have a passing grade in my view. I think they've done well on some areas, such as the tone that they've set, the willingness by the new Prime Minister and the administration to engage with all of our people, including the people of Nevis. The effort at better rapport, better communication, and mutual respect. I think I give them high marks there. I still am waiting to see their own policies roll out. In fact, the only policy that I've seen that I can say is uniquely a Labour Party policy has been the CBI dividend. Most of the other policies are really old programs that are being sort of redefined, such as PAP and others. I think on balance, I would say they have a passing grade, but there is certainly a need for continued effort, and with all of us, all governments, a continued improvement in delivering for all the people of the country.
Sound like a C+, Jade.
That's what I gather from this, a C+?
Sound like a C+. Maybe creeping up to a B.
I would say a B minus from my
B minus, C+. Yeah. Tomato.
Okay.
But Premier, you have anything else you wanna?
Well,
we have him here, because he's a busy man.
Yes, but well, my question has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Somebody just wants to know if they'll see you at Faded.
No.
See me where?
At Faded.
I think it's across the street from me.
It is.
So,
take a pass, man.
Sure.
Take a pass.
I passed the last time I did take a pass. But almost immediately I recognized that I was above the age group.
You're as young as you feel,
Yes, and look.
Only old people say that. The only person who says it's not how you ran the race, it's not whether you won or lost, it's how you ran the race, is the man who loses.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
So I will stay on my porch and look at the people enjoying Faded. But it's a beautiful venue.
Yes,
and certainly I hope that people come out and enjoy themselves.
Yes, and last actual question, what can the people of Nevis look forward to in the upcoming months? I mean, you are newly elected. I'm sure you have lots of plans for your country. What give them a taste of what they can look forward to?
So I think our main focus, other than the infrastructural projects I've talked about, jobs. We're trying to create some economic momentum on this island. And I think that that's the thing that I'm hopeful that we can look forward to in the next few months on the island of Nevis. In all sectors, we want to see more job creation. And hopefully I see some brothers and sisters from St. Kitts coming over. Just as we go over to St. Kitts to work, we expect to see some brothers and sisters coming over as well. Brothers and sisters from the region, but it's all about job creation for this administration over the next few months. Now, I regret I have to go because we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Heritage Village today. And that is a beautiful site. It was the brainchild of the late, great Malcolm Gishard, and we're celebrating 20 years on. And I've always said that is what vision is about, that here we are, 20 years on, being able to celebrate something, an idea that was put in place by someone who has now gone on. May his soul rest in peace. So thank you both very, very much. It was a wonderful opportunity for me as always, and invite me again soon.
Yes, but we need you to come in studio. We need you in studio.
If you can arrange it.
Okay.
Certainly.
All right. Well, thank you as well for taking the time out.
Yes.
I know you, like you said, you have things going on, busy running a country and all that fun stuff. But I appreciate it one more time for you coming and hanging out with us. So it really was a pleasure.
Thank you both very much. God bless.
All right. Guys, we're gonna take a short break and be right back with more Sip and Chat right here on the Sugar Factory. Stick and stay. Don't go nowhere. Hey guys, welcome back to Sip and Chat with me, Azem, and of course, Sing it's Beyonce next to me. And yeah, that was a cool conversation we just had there, Jade.
Definitely. It's always a fun time when Mac joins us.
Indeed.
I would really like to get the other sitting ministers to join us for some conversations. But we know they're busy. But
Yeah.
I'm going to work on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on one in particular. I think he's very cool. Talk to Nevis, Eric Evelyn. I think he's pretty cool.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's much more to talk about. There's things happening not only in Nevis but apparently all across the world.
Yes. But you were briefly mentioning a press conference yesterday?
Oh yeah, they had a press conference yesterday. Prime Minister. I didn't get to watch much of it. I did see, however, afterwards there was infographic that went out.
Yes, let me look for that actually.
Speaking to some of the achievements of the administration over the last 6 months, and so now that was a conversation. Last night, I met a sipper in the in the supermarket, and we were talking, and they were letting me know about some stuff that happened on the. On it, I guess he was accepting calls and stuff like that.
Really? Wow.
Perhaps it was even I think it was in response to the press conference. You know, people were talking about a particular caller that called in and said, you know, they needed assistance. You know, perhaps similar to what we were talking about with the premier, and you know, listing out all the bills that he had to pay and stuff like that. And you know,
interesting bills.
Well, interesting in the sense that I guess people were suggesting that his bills were really luxury items.
Oh.
Some of his expenses. And I think it was one of the Kingsters. Yeah, one of the Kingsters I was having a conversation with on Sunday.
Somebody say, I always meet somebody in the supermarket.
Yeah.
Azem loves grapes, guys, okay?
Yeah, so
he's always there.
I was in the supermarket buying grapes last night.
I know.
Why somebody last night? And then you need bread, you need fresh bread and so.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't normally make it to the bakeries, so yeah, I gotta check the supermarket. But I was talking to one of the Kingsters on Sunday, and one of the things we were discussing, I was telling him, I said, look, St. Kitts is an interesting place, you know, because our definition of poverty is different. Eh? Like, I know people who would be considered for like assistance that have like 42, 56, 60-inch TVs in the house.
Yeah.
But in poverty.
Yeah.
They have, on a serious note, you do recognize that there are a lot of people who are struggling but have Netflix accounts.
Yes, because you need a distraction from your struggle, Azem.
Yeah, but then what happens is the question becomes, hey, you're asking for money from here, but perhaps you could do a reassessment of your expenses and end up in a better position. So that's a conversation. But I do believe saying it's is interesting. For instance, do you consider a vehicle a luxury item, or is it a necessity?
Sometimes it's a necessity.
See, I don't even know if that's even possible when we start talking about the economic definitions. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the economic definitions of like what are essential needs and what are luxury
Clothing,
items.
shelter.
Right. So, but a lot of people, and I know economists, right? People who are involved in finance and who make an argument and say, in Caribbean in particular, it's difficult to say that a vehicle is not an essential item. You know, so these are the things that make the discussion around the social program is very interesting. The other thing that's very interesting about the social programs for me too, just looking on, is the idea of like deadlines.
Yes, because I don't see how I could tell you when I'm going to stop being.
Yeah, like when I'm gonna be broke.
Yeah, when I don't think there's a deadline on my pockets.
Or for instance, even some of these programs that are designed to help small businesses are designed to help increase the employment opportunities for persons. It's like, how do you have a deadline on these? Like, how you decide when I get my business license?
And that's all it
I will start to be like
No, yeah, it's a very difficult thing to put a deadline on because, again, little things happen that cause people's life to change drastically.
Yeah.
So I could be...
And without warning.
Yeah.
Without warning. But I mean, for me, it's just the idea of having deadlines for application and social programs.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
And like that feels a little odd.
Yeah, because if I literally lose, well, I don't. If I had lost a job, and
the day after the deadline.
After the deadline, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do now?
You want me to tell you the sad part about it?
What?
There's actually an answer to that.
What?
Call your minister.
Call your minister, yes.
That's the sad part about it. And
sometimes that don't work, because I remember I called a minister and he asked me what I want him to do. Go Pep. He's not a minister anymore. He lost.
Jade, stop rejoicing in the man's misfortune.
Who must stop?
Mr. Yeah, man.
I'm sorry, I'm not that.
That man's a millionaire, he'll be good to go.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's good to go.
However, small losses still make me happy.
It's
it's supposed to be small wins?
Let me tell you something, Jade, and I agree. But let me tell you something, Jade. Contrary to popular belief, I believe there's some of these politicians that when they lose, they breathe the biggest sigh of relief. They breathe the biggest sigh of relief.
Better believe it. Because being a politician sounds like hell on earth, Azem.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah. And the thing about it too is, I was even thinking about this recently too. The fact that how politics works is an interesting dynamic. I remember we were talking sometime about what's the prerequisites like to run and so, and it's pretty much, you just gotta be like born here and then hold another passport and so. But
very low barrier to entry.
But the truth is, though, what we would want to believe is that we have competent people who have shown, like the ability to succeed in some industry or
you
some.
mean sitting ministers or running?
No. People who run.
So what you say again? You want to believe that one?
No, I think we would want, meaning the people.
Oh,
meaning,
us.
Yeah, we would want to believe that, hey, the people that are up for us to choose from are people that have proven competence in something, right? You'd want to believe that, oh, this person is successful in some way, whatever.
Something.
But the truth is, what you really do when you get into politics, if you're successful at all, is you put your professional life on hold for public service. No, the truth, so it's like, how many people who are really driven and ambitious and the top of the game and the best at what they do and whatever can put off all their work for the last 30, 40 years in their life, put that on hold to go and run politics because the country needs them. I don't see that really being the case. And so the question I was asking somebody is like, yo, so what do you believe really is the motivation
for a lot of the politicians?
For a lot of the politicians, a lot of them, if not all, would say it's a call to public service.
Yes,
like
I'm here to serve my country.
People come and ask me, and I say yes. And even and that answer has been given to us when we've asked. We've had the opportunity to interview people who have gone into politics, and they've said that. Like, yeah, man. Like, I was sitting at home one day and a call came in and they were like, we need you to serve, and I said yes.
Yes.
And I'm like, I let it slide because I know that's the answer. Like, but
that's actually happened.
Really,
have those people that give it has the people that has given us that answer been successful?
Yeah, some of them.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of them.
So they're doing good.
If you believe that. Like, if you believe that. But the point I'm making is, I believe there's some people that when they lose, they breathe a self relief.
I would too.
Because if we know you ain't got a chance, they must know they ain't got a chance.
Yeah, that's what I know. I feel like I've pinpointed people that I know not doing it because they know they're going to win.
Yeah. So, but the question again we keep asking is like, because we tend to focus on the individuals, like, shouldn't we, is it unreasonable to believe that we are going to see people who are really successful in other areas of their life be the ones that are the ones that tend to jump out and become, because people, in other words, then if you're going to, if you've shown success in something, why would you then turn your back on the work that you've put in for the last 20, 30, 40 years to do into public service, right?
Maybe because they feel like...
No, some people, I'm not saying that there's not anyone who doesn't feel like they have a duty or they want to see better for the country and stuff like
calling.
that.
Yeah.
I do believe though that we're talking about two different people. We're talking about statesmen versus politicians, and I don't think they always are the same people.
Name one statesman that we have right now.
I think there are a lot of statesmen. I think there are a lot of people who really demonstrate that they have the best interest of the state. And I know a lot of them involved in politics.
That's what I mean.
That's where to be seen. That's where to be seen.
Name one politician.
The reason I won't name someone who is either in politics or someone who is not in politics is because, like I keep saying, the idea of constantly putting all this faith in a person, I don't think that's
You
cool.
think we have too much faith in politicians?
Yes.
Well.
Yes, like.
But shouldn't those be the people we have faith in?
No, we should have faith in the institutions that hold those people accountable.
We don't have those.
Yeah.
We don't have those, so we have to have faith in the politicians now. Until we have those, then
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't think it's that we don't have them. I just think that because of the faith we put in the politicians are then allowed to manipulate these things. I'll give you an example. Like I keep saying it all the time. Like the Prime Minister of the country has, in essence, more power than his than his counterpart, for instance, in America or Canada or whatever. The power that the prime ministers have and are able to exercise, the things that they're able to do, is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like it's insane. That you give enough, like all this much power is vested in this one particular position, and in essence, one particular person.
Yeah, glad we don't have weapons of mass destruction down here because, boy.
Yeah.
We might have done look something.
Yeah, such and such say something bad about me on Facebook.
Yeah, that country gone.
What country? You mean a house down the block?
So we're specific.
Yeah. You could target them things now, man. You could target them things now. Yeah, you could knock down, like, you could blow up one building and the building on either side good still.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we don't have those things because I don't know how. Like, imagine for instance, right? If we had those type of weapons in the 2015 election.
But yeah, a lot of people that disappear. Yeah. Especially given the fact that I say this all the time, which is so funny to me. Like every election, you hear the talk of dictatorship. Every election.
Well, they would have really show you how what dictatorship is because.
Yeah, like that is funny. And it's
we don't just wake up and our house just gone.
Yeah. Dictatorships by. I'm telling you, St. Kitts Nevis was got the most dictators per capita of anywhere in the world.
Every single election cycle?
Yeah.
Y'all elected, y'all are dictators.
More dictators here than anywhere in the world per capita. I could make that assessment. Somebody do a study.
So you go.
What you have on your lovely little agenda for us today?
Well, have you ever taken care of a pet and only to realize that the pet is not what you thought it was? Like when your dad gave you the goat. Did you think it was a sheep or did you know?
I knew it was a goat.
Right off the bat?
I knew it was a goat.
Well, a family did not have the same luxury as you. For actually, Jade speaks, guys. Here we go. So a family raises 250-pound dog for 2 years, then realize it's a bear.
What? What?
So they thought Scrappy was a Scrappy. Wasn't.
They didn't realize he was a Winnie.
He was a Winnie. So a family in a remote part of China adopted what it thought was a puppy, only to discover 2 years later that it was an actual bear.
These people, bad. They're not a preschool.
Man.
Because they got the little books. They have the little books that you turn and say.
D for dog.
C is for cat. D
Yeah.
is for dog.
Yeah, me and Jade are going to them currently. Yeah.
So they never went to them?
Man,
I mean, that's a remote part of China.
So maybe they didn't have all of those luxuries.
And they ain't really got letters either.
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
The language a little different out there. All these symbols and things.
Maybe.
I mean,
based on
for those of you who think of it ridiculous, yeah, they have letters, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, the breed, I could understand how they may have mixed up, because they thought they got a Tibetan Mastiff puppy while on vacation in 2016, and you know they're kind of big and no. Well,
Jade, 2 years later, the dog never back yet. It's not a dog.
Listen.
The dog never back.
Some kids start to talk later than some.
The dog never howl. Wait, tell me, the dog never chased the mailman.
They had no mailman, Azem. They had no mailman.
Jade, what is people really doing over there, man?
Doing the Lord's work.
So let me ask you a question. So now that they find out it's a bear, what are they doing?
That's what I tried to figure out, but my tablet not moving. I don't know why it's not moving.
It's not yours, it's his website. But yeah, that's interesting. I want to know what they're doing with the dog bear now, or the bear dog.
The bear dog. The bear dog.
The bear dog. I want to know what they're doing with the bear dog now.
Well, let me close it and see if I could come back to the story and find out, because I would like to know. Because no, you can't just give up your puppy, dog, bear.
You know the funny thing about this, all I'm thinking about when I'm hearing this story is like when you find out about people after the fact.
You mean like the stories about people adopting kids and only to find out they're adults?
Huh?
Yeah. So.
That's the thing?
Yes. So there has been. There has literally been instances, right, where people have adopted what they thought was a child, only to find out later that this child has like a genetics disorder and has been pretending to be a child and is an actual adult. It's true. This is a true fact. This just didn't happen in, remember the plot line to Orphan? There's real life orphans out there.
Okay. So this is the exact example that I've made with people.
See, this dog could look like a bear.
Jade.
Yeah, if you...
I want to see Winnie.
You want to see?
I want to see
You want
Winnie.
to see
So I could
see?
see if Winnie looks like.
The-
Jade,
the
that's a bear, Jade. That is a bear. There is no way nobody's supposed to think that's a dog. Like, that's a bear. Like,
Oh, you give Winnie a chance. That's why.
no, they gave Winnie a chance. They lucky Winnie and bite them up.
That's what all I thinking, you know.
Lucky.
Because from what I've seen about bears, especially black ones, I'm shocked they made it this long.
No, but they got him as a cub. That they thought was a puppy, but he was a cub.
Listen, there's a story about a lady that got a chimpanzee. I think it was a chimpanzee as a baby, right?
Yes.
The chimpanzee grew up to be a big chimpanzee and ended up eating the face of the friend after the chimpanzee.
Ate up the face, yes.
Yeah, the chimpanzee came into the realization like, this is how you are treating me as a monkey? Okay, let me show you something.
It actually wasn't really the case, you know.
No.
What happened with the chimp was, chimps are apparently very jealous.
Oh.
So what ended up happening was, the chimp actually got jealous of the lady's friend.
No, the friend was called to stop. The chimp was going off on an attack, right? Like it was losing the mind, basically. It was on antidepressants and all of these things.
No, but what I'm saying is the reason that the chimp was like started acting out was some like out of jealousy.
But
Initially.
But the friend came after, you know, the friend
No, I'm
came.
talking about that friend. I'm talking like whatever happened with the woman. The woman had some situation.
So the friend
yeah,
was just like the casualty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please don't play with monkey.
Yeah. No, what happened is, what we have to understand is wild animals belong in the wild.
That is why they're called wild animals.
Like,
The wild is there for a reason.
and then when we start bringing things from civilization to them or them into civilization, bad things happen.
All the
AKA
time.
cocaine beer. I know that's why he waited.
I still have to go watch that. Somebody take me to watch Cocaine.
We should all go watch it. We should all go watch it as a like
Yeah,
as a group.
Darrione gone. Are we talking about it? He just gone and watch it without us.
The Kingsters ain't working with us. We need to just do like.
I'm a movie boy.
Yeah.
I'm a movie, that's what it
Yeah, but you could have invited us to the movie.
is. Big up Caribbean cinemas one.
Big up Caribbean cinemas, yes.
Oh, I got for that.
Yeah. Are we gonna cut it out? But yeah, like
Also, you got in 2000 Kingston's approved.
Kingston's approved Cocaine Bear. Somebody take me to watch Cocaine Bear, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're always bringing things out the wild to civilization, and then realizing
Not a wild. Not a wild.
and then punishing the wild animal for being wild. We like when people jump into cages in zoos with lions and tigers and bears, and then they do exactly what lions and tigers and bears do.
Yeah, they kill the yeah, the tiger.
Why kill the person? That's the person who in the wrong, you know. The bear ain't do nothing but be a bear. When we go into we take animals out of the wild and we put them in enclosure, and then now you're missing a whole limb. Don't kill the alligator.
I'm torn sometimes when I go to like zoos.
Them too.
I'm
Them
torn.
too.
I'm torn when I go to zoos. As a matter of fact,
I've never been to a zoo.
the one place that I went to and just vowed that I couldn't do it anymore. It just felt too wrong. Was like I went to SeaWorld and I couldn't go back.
I know it would be SeaWorld. I know it would be SeaWorld, you know.
Like it just was like, okay, something don't feel right here. Like
They have a whole documentary. It's called Black something. Black something it basically had to do with the same situation with the orcas. And I guess what else had SeaWorld, killer whales and stuff like that. Like when you take an animal called a killer whale and put it in an enclosure.
yeah, like it just was like, this don't feel right. Like
And that's why
they had a very nice roller coaster there though.
I don't know how it's that wouldn't appeal to me.
You say you never been on a roller coaster?
No, Azem, you keep the only thing that I've done because I have no choice is going
Planes?
to an airplane. Because how else am I gonna get here? But I'm not just doing these things for fun.
Zipline?
No, and I could have plenty times. I worked there.
Kingsters, we may have to do like a sugar factory trip to the zipline.
That my phone gonna be off. I'll let you know.
No, what we can do, we can just shoot the show from the zipline. So we can pick up in the morning to go work and we just pass.
So what you going to do, kidnap me?
Yes, that's what I'm suggesting.
No, you can't do that, that's illegal.
Only if you report it.
And I will. My friend is the new deputy commissioner, you know.
No, yeah.
Don't let me got to pull my ranks, you know.
But he can like the content.
That he could like what he want.
He can love the content.
Darrione, I ain't carrying me up in nothing high. Because me ain't going.
Okay, alright.
Have you been following this murder situation?
I have been trying to, but the truth is I have kind of put off that a bit because I have been trying to follow up on the life of Murdoch.
So interesting.
Yes.
I've been following it for a while. So they finally had a decision in the court. Why is this happening? They finally had a decision in the court case with the father who murdered, according to the courts, his wife and child. After the child murdered, well, I don't know if that one was like a murder more so than an accidental death due to negligence. When he was involved in a, I'm really talking to the people listening because they know, but he was involved. So there's this rich family in America, of course, they're white, the Murdochs, yes. So the father was a lawyer. He was an attorney. I think he had a firm and all of these things. And he had some kids. One of the kids, very spoiled, from what they portrayed on the Netflix series. There's a Netflix series as well, recent. He was very spoiled and he had a boat and he went out with a bunch of his friends and ended up being so drunk that he crashed the boat and one of the ladies on the boat died. One of the kids on the boat died. And so they were going through that. And then the nanny allegedly fell down the steps accidentally. Is that a pato?
Yep. Always the steps.
Always steps. I don't understand how.
Steps should probably be considered a dangerous weapon because the amount of people they're killing, is ridiculous.
And then there was also a hit and run accident that they were alleged to be involved in where somebody else died. And then
Wow.
I don't know, something clearly wrong with his family because everybody just dying around them.
The Murdochs.
The murders.
I'm about to say, you hear the name, Jade? That's the point I was making. Did you hear the name?
Because then he killed his wife and child, the same child that was involved with the accident, and then tried to kill himself. Well, they said that the reason that they said that he tried to kill himself is to make sure that his son, the surviving son, got his life insurance. But that failed miserably. Like they found him tied up to a tree with a gunshot wound and all of these things. What's another thing? What's with people and trees and gunshots? Is this like a norm?
I mean, if you're looking for like a tall, phallic thing to tie yourself to, trees are probably one of the main things you could. Yeah. Interesting. Poles are kind of skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Houses too big, like trees work.
Yeah. But yeah, he got in jail. No amount of money could stop him from going in jail. This is too much, man. Like one off, and the thing is in the documentary, like they were saying that he's accustomed to threatening people that had so much money that people were afraid of them. Like even some of the families of the kids in the documentary.
Yes,
were,
yeah. So was a multi-millionaire.
Oh, you would have killed people?
No.
Oh. I thought that's what I was going to say.
But I work so hard, bring up all this money and thing, you come tell me shipping.
So you're going to kill them?
Nope. There's just for future reference, there's no situation where I will ever admit on camera to being open or willing
to murder somebody.
To take the life of anyone.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, but that was an interesting way to end the show today. Yeah, but that story there is very in and out, and encourage people to go and watch the show as well.
Yeah, look at all the YouTube things about the Murdoch. That's why I found them actually on YouTube, and I was like, this is insanity because how is it that these people are able to get away with all of these things? But then they didn't. He killed one. Well, allegedly, he killed one too many people. Because usually when you see like wife and child murdered, the father usually is the person that did it. Not gonna lie to you. You also this is also a very dark story, but this is the last one. But because of what I said just now, I remembered it. So there was this family.
You're just spending way too much time going on these rabbit holes, yeah. But go ahead.
It wasn't a rabbit hole. It was a quick episode. But I was like, interesting. So there was this man, he married this lady, and they had some kids. He had kids, or she had kids from a previous relationship, one of the two of them.
Sounds pretty normal up to now.
Yeah. So everybody lived together happy. Then all of a sudden, family just disappear. But they started disappearing one by one. It wasn't just everybody went. So first, the wife disappeared. And then he took the kids to the grandma's house. The grandma, which is the wife's mom, used to message her and realized like she wasn't getting her and stuff like that. But so she was like, you know, this kind of weird. But, you know, the kids here and the kids, they said, Mommy missing. So, you know, Mommy probably not missing. But then when he picked back up the kids now, he killed the previous kids from his wife. And then was trying to take his daughters from the marriage to the police station. Got outside the police station, sat there for a while in his car and realized that, you know what, it's easier if I just kill everybody. So, drove back home, killed his kids, and was driving up and down with their bodies in the car. He literally spent time with his ex-wife at their house while the bodies of the kids and the wife and everybody was in the car. How he got caught is that he buried the kids and for some reason just decided not to bury his wife. So he was just driving up and down with her body and got into an accident. And the police came and he said, well, yeah, I'm going to have to lock me up for a lot of things today. And told them.
You think?
Yeah. Told them the story and everybody was like, sir?
No, this guy obviously had some mental issues.
Yeah.
Obviously had some mental issues.
It's just wild how people just eliminate the whole family.
Be careful who y'all marry, yeah?
Yes. That is the moral of my story.
Careful who you, just be careful who you get close to. Be careful.
Because people, boy, oh boy.
Wow.
So you say you ain't have no bodies buried nowhere?
The answer to that would be unequivocally no.
Unequivocally?
No, Jade.
Alright.
Jade, I'm a lover, you know, not a fighter.
That's what I was too.
Yeah, but there were other things as well.
People are nuanced, friend. People are nuanced.
Yeah, that's one nuance I don't possess. I don't possess that nuance.
What happened in this weekend? Before we go, what happened in this weekend?
This weekend, Music Fest launch on Sunday.
Oh, and Onyx is tomorrow. Guys, get your black and come on out. Yes, I'll be there. And then...
Yeah. And then on Sunday, Music Fest launching some artists.
Yeah, and I'll be there as well, apparently. Thanks, Azem.
Yeah. So there's stuff happening this weekend, definitely. I have a wedding to go to tomorrow.
Ooh, who's still getting married?
People that should get married.
Wow. Love it for you.
No, the reason I'm saying that, I just say be careful who you marry, but I do believe that these two people,
they should be married.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the ceremony.
So sweet.
Yeah.
When is yours? When is your ceremony? Didn't you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, but
I thought
you ready for the answer?
Yeah, okay.
I thought it was rhetorical.
Oh, there's Washi Sports happening as well, and a Miss Heritage pageant.
When is Washi Sports today? Or today?
I don't know.
Because I saw some. So Basel High School has sports on Sunday. Okay.
So maybe Washi is Saturday.
Okay.
Sports season, yes.
Yeah, definitely sports season.
All right, love it. Go Washi Wildcats.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna cool out. Like I used to like going to the development meets, and then but I think things just been so tense right now. I'm probably gonna only be able to go to maybe inter school, hopefully.
Busy.
Yeah, things going on.
Trying to make sure we survive in this
life.
life.
Make sure y'all go out and support the kids, man.
Of course, they're the future.
Yeah.
They are the future.
Just go out and they know. They just go out and support the kids. You know what I mean? Like, they always feel good. As somebody who's playing sports and deal with sports, like, I mean, I recognize I might have been a little different. Like, it's only afterwards when I hear people talking about, oh, my father never came to watch my games. I was like, but I never even think about that. They just want to play football. But I can say that the times that my parents have seen me compete, like it was really cool having them there. Like I remember my mom being at Sports Day. So yeah, that was cool. I don't know. I just can't remember thinking about that.
Well, Jaden's sports coming up, so I'm going to check him on soon.
So he actually competing? He doing things?
Yeah, he in Red House.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah. What house you were in school?
Why? I think he was red. He might have been red.
I went to 2 primary schools. One primary school was interesting in the fact that they didn't really have well, the houses had like were more identified by the animal.
Yeah, that's what Jade schools is as well, animals.
Yeah, so I think I was in by Hawks.
What color would a hawk be?
Purple for some
Okay.
strange reason.
They had purple hawks in your school?
That is what it was, Jade, and so. Then
I don't think I've ever seen a color
I
house
went
in
to
purple.
Newton. I went to Newton School. Yeah, that's the thing.
Ah, okay.
Then I went to after that I went to Newton School. I was in Blue House, and then after that I was in Red House until I couldn't. Yeah, I was in Red House in junior, which would have been junior high, and then Red House in Bastille High as well. Where my championship medal was birthed. Yes.
Well, I don't have any of those.
Yeah, because you didn't go to Bastille High.
No,
Bastille High is the birthplace of
not
champions.
why
If
I
you went to
didn't.
Bastille High, you would
You
have
know
had
what?
the championship medal.
Let's not do that because you know.
Hey, what you saying? Yeah, big up BHS all the time. It's not my fault, dude.
Ugh.
Blame the sorters.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, I was boasting about what?
Everything as we should be.
Delusion is real in this world. Man.
Yeah.
Delusion is real in this world.
I'm glad you
but-
recognize your downfalls and your quirks.
Yeah, being a champion.
A delusional one.
No, I actually have champions. Hey, as a matter of fact, right? One of the things that the sports term, one of the things that I was thinking about recently, I still have I think I have two records at Bastille High. Right? It'd be cool if somebody break them, I could do something for them.
What are the records if you remember them?
So I have class 3. I think I have class 3 triple jump. Yeah, which is the oldest one? Is class 4 is the oldest or class 4 is the oldest?
Video.
Yeah, but I think it's class 2. So I have class 2 boys triple jump. To my knowledge, I don't think it's been broken. And I have class 2 boys 200 meter. I don't think they've been broken.
Watch somebody touch that.
The last person I thought was gonna come close, but that's when I was following it. Was Chavez Nital. I thought he was gonna break the 200. I thought he was gonna break the 200, but he didn't. He was very. He was a really good athlete. They've been some really good athletes.
We're going to find out if they're...
I'm gonna ask the sportsman stop there.
There you go.
Yeah, if they still exist. But I think it'd be really cool if somebody break it. I could. Yeah.
That's why your knees ain't good now?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I went to the doctor some time back and they were doing some checks and they were like, "You're involved in sports? You used to jump a lot?" I was like, "Why?" "Yeah, we don't see this.
Your knee look like Swiss cheese now.
But no, actually, my knees have actually been doing a lot better.
Ah, small mercy.
I have been doing a lot of stretches and strengthening, specifically for my knees and my ankles. So I have been, and that's what I tell people, go to the gym, go to exercise, just be active.
Even if you're not at the gym, exercise.
Yeah. Even if you're not planning to, bodybuild or anything like that, even stretch. Wake up in the morning and stretch.
Who don't wake up? It's like people that just wake up and just go.
Do you mean talking just?
Oh.
I mean talking about just stand out your hands to the side.
Because
I mean do actual stretch routine, Jade. People aren't flexible,
a bunch of serial killers, why?
Jade.
Well, oh.
No.
Sorry. I said serial killer, you look that way.
Jade, scaring yourself on the show. Jade, you need to stop watching these things. I do. But yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, you even made me forget what I was about to say.
Sorry.
He was encouraging people to stretch.
Yeah. But yeah, I was saying that it's just interesting to me how many people just walking around town doing whatever, the sounds they make when they just bend over.
The creaking?
No.
The cracking?
No, the vocal,
the
moans,
praise the Lord. Especially when you sit down. Oh my God.
Hold on. If you realize you're a person that when you bend at the hips, can't help but utter some half the time expletive.
I think that's when I realized I was getting older. When I started to sit down and just make noises. I'm like,
oh my God.
What?
Yeah, that's Jade one. Oh my God.
I have a lot of them.
But yeah, if you realize you're a person that does that, please don't stay in that funk. It's okay. It's fine. It can be helped. Daily stretches, help a lot. Strengthening certain joints and body parts, help a lot. And we're not talking about going to the gym. We're just talking about a few things you could do even while laying on your bed.
Yes.
So do a quick Google search, do a quick YouTube search, look for little daily stretches.
Let's see how we could.
Cause my knees were really hurting because my quads were tight. I didn't know that. I just thought I had bad knees. I didn't realize I just need to stretch.
Come, let's go with me, yeah?
We gotta leave, we gotta go, we gotta disembark, guys. Guys, it's been wonderful hanging out with you. Thanks to the Honorable Mark Brantley, Premier of Nevis, for coming and hanging out with us this morning.
Definitely, always a pleasure.
For all the people on the live, all the people who have been messaging, liking, sharing, subscribing, appreciate it. Those of you who haven't done any of that, go do it now. Go do it now. Share Sip and Chat with at least one person today. Share the Sugar Factory YouTube page with at least one person, the IG page, everything. Make sure you let people know that we're up and about. Up to like almost every day. I see somebody and they're like, I didn't really like your show, you know? And then I have to like take the phone or tell them how to search for. Search for Sugar Factory Inc. It seems to come up even a lot easier if you do that. And just like and subscribe and get the notifications, and then of course your computer, whatever, can let you know
when we're live.
Yeah, something going on over there. You need to go see what's going on. So guys, appreciate it again. Thank you so much. Make sure to deal with people with love, grace, and respect. And of course, guys,
be safe this weekend as well.
Oh yes, it's the weekend. So please, guys. Look out not only for yourself, but look out for others, because sometimes people ain't really know what they're doing. I saw that yesterday, Jade. Oh my gosh.
That'll just piss me off, boy.
Oh my, Jade, I'm driving behind a vehicle. And there's a person stepping off the curb, and I just walk out. Well, look how I got to witness. You was with me? Oh my.
You almost witnessed the murder?
Jade, ask the Kingston. It's like, wow. Had no, I said, he ain't even, and the thing is, he ain't even know somebody just save his life here. He ain't know somebody save his life.
He nearly end up on a t-shirt. Shame.
Well, I could tell you whatever picture they used on the t-shirt wasn't going to be the one of him at his end.
No time at all. Yeah, please be careful
be
and
careful
mindful.
Wow. That was something else. 3 and 1, let's move. Be careful.
3 and 1.
Yeah, big up Lucas one time. Big up Lucas. 3 and 1, let's move.
Oh dear.
But guys, yes, please be careful out there. It is the weekend. There is things to do. Go out, support the events. Go out, see what's happening with Music Fest, and of course support the kids this weekend at the sports days. At the sports days. We should have some sports people come in and talk to us a bit too. So we'll definitely look into doing that. But yes, alas, we gotta go. Please, you got a weekend to make sure that your cups are fully washed, turned over, and dried. You just turn over your cups to dry or just leave them up?
No, turn them over.
You just turn them right over flat, or leave them with the little things so that you could get in.
My cup?
Yeah.
They're in the dish rack, I'm just turning them over.
Oh, dish rack.
Yeah.
Dish rack. Okay, cool. Yeah, some people who just turn over their cup just so flat.
The water going to be captured in the...
Like inside, like even if, like I turn over mine, but then I might put it like on a cup, on a plate or something.
Who don't know that? Who don't know this?
Jade, you'd be surprised.
Wow.
These are the things I don't notice when I go to people's places. You know? No real talk. I walk into your house and they can see how you turn over.
So you turn it over your cup the best?
Oh yeah. They tell me a lot about you. People say they don't see the red flags, you know, I do. But guys, appreciate it again. Thank you so much. And please remember, you can't be everybody's cup of tea because you is not a mug. We're going to see you guys on Monday.